so relieved and in so much pain at the same time. I got one cross member, or I'm sorry, one lower control arm is taken apart as it's gonna be. If you'll still notice, there's still a torsion bar stuck in it. That's wonderful, isn't it? I couldn't get that thing up. I gracefully decided to lose that battle and just live with the struggle that ensues. The problem is it's just rusted in there so bad, and the other thing about it is that I don't really need to take it out. All I really needed was to get the key out, and I got those out, so I don't have a problem with working with it like this. It just makes it heavy. These things weigh in, they're like, I don't know, 6 feet long like that, and also they weigh about 50 pounds, so it's kind of, it's heavy, you know, because it's not like I just clamp it up here and do everything I got to do in one position. No, I'm flipping it this way, I'm flipping it over to where I'm laying it out that way and clamping it on there, and so it's back and forth, and I've got it standing, you know, upright and everything, just all kinds of positions to do all the work I got to do on it. Well, what's the work? Pressed out the bushings, they're gone. That's the bushings right there. That my elbow is killing me from that, because I don't have a shop press. All I have is this big giant vise. So yeah, it just takes a tremendous amount of force to push this bullshit out of here. These are the old ones. They're just so disgustingly bad. I mean, this particular control arm, it wouldn't move a bit, like budge, if I put my entire weight on it. I mean, it would move with the truck's weight, obviously, but like not mine. It was just, you know, so bad. These bushings, those are the new ones from Energy Suspension, part of the Hyperflex system. They look good. I don't know if I want to modify those sleeves to kind of retain a little bit more grease after they're installed or not. I haven't decided yet, but I got to press those in and also put a new lower ball joint. That's how it goes in there. Give me new bolts and everything to tighten them in. So, but this one's taken apart. This one's all done. The other one is, well, it's taken apart as much as is the other one, except I haven't taken the ball joint out of this. Figured out how to do it on this one. Just again, just painful. These little rivets hold it in. I had to drill them completely out. There's a couple of them sitting here. Yeah, you can kind of see. I had to drill all the way through these 1/2-inch rivets basically before they would even budge off of holding them in on this thing. And so, yeah, man, this one lines right up. I should be able to install that. And so this one's ready to be cleaned up. I just got to get the ball joint out of that one. Okay, so it wasn't just rust that corroded made these little bolts all skinny. I don't know if you remember me showing these earlier when I was taking this crossmember off for the torsion bars. Got that all repaired, all welded back in, those little cutouts welded back into place. And I was, you know, looking at the mounts. The mounts use a rubber mount system that fit into the end of to the end of the cross member, and in the middle there's a sleeve. If you can see, that's a metal sleeve, and that you can see right there's the original one. It's all chewed up. As a matter of fact, it's like all ganked on the inside. It's kind of a lot easier to see when it's out of the sleeve itself, or out of the bushing itself. But these things are just wasted, right? So, got new bushings and hardware for it, so it mounts up there. It's not all junky. It's nice and solid through and through, with a brand new bushing sleeve in the middle, and that should work like stock. It's still here, ready to go in. It's still all connected to the test stand, ready to go, and I cannot wait to install this thing. I'm actually about halfway through installing it. I mean, but what ended up happening was, you know, the rest of the truck because I was really excited about installing it. And, you know, I just started taking things apart and seeing what kind of condition things were in, and, you know, I guess quickly remembered that the whole truck is a project truck. So I am, instead of halfway through really installing that, which it's ready to go, is I'm halfway through getting the engine bay ready for installation. And it's just a complete restoration on the front end. Every single thing is off of the frame. Everything. All the control arms, the steering components, everything. I've cleaned up this frame just a little bit, but the rest of this stuff is really done. This is the last piece that was taken out. This is the axle. This is a bracket that holds up the axle. This is the very last bit of stuff to come out of the engine compartment so that I can actually restore the frame. I only had to do one little repair there. This is kind of a half-time report, I figured, because this video is kind of, or the video that I'm making for this is kind of getting long, so I figured I'd give you guys an explanation of what's actually going on. But the rest of the stuff is all rebuilt. You can see my sway bar here, the drag link, the motor mounts. These are the upper control arms, all rebuilt. New bushings, new ball joints, idler arm, new tie rod couplers. There's my steering gearbox with a new pitman arm on it. It's all painted up and ready to go. New brake calipers, new brake lines. The old axles are fine. Painted up all the bracketry, like the sway arm brackets and those little brake line brackets. I just finished these lower control arms yesterday. They're all rebuilt, new bushings, all painted up, cleaned up, new ball joints on them. They're ready to go. There's the fenders. They're all repaired. I had to do a couple of repairs on them. They're all cleaned up and painted. There's the front clip, all cleaned up and painted. And so basically everything that's out in that truck, well, that was out in that truck, is in here waiting to be installed. There's the front differential, all ready to go, cleaned up and painted. I really can't see what else is in here. Oh yeah, I mean, there's other new parts too that I've got that, well, you already saw the radiator, but there's my shocks, you know, I got some skyjackers for it. Those are real nice. I got some tubing to get the exhaust done down there, torque converter stuff I think you saw in the last video. But yeah, basically instead of just plunking the engine in that dingy old engine compartment, I decided to just rebuild the thing, you know, like restore the front end, because, well, basically that's what I got the truck for, is to redo it, or to rebuild it, you know, make it good again, just restore it. And so this is where I'm at right now. This is kind of like a halftime, you know, halfway. I say it's halfway through because everything's off and restored except for the frame, of course. And I just need to clean that up, paint it, and start putting it back together. And then only then I'll be able to put this beast in there and see how it goes down the road. So the project continues.
Yes, I know. I love winning the freestyle. World champion. That racing trophy. I look around. I'm like, man, I like that trophy. I like that trophy. So we both got something to look forward to.
Didn't really get a before shot on the actual damage here, but I started cleaning up the frame. I've got most of the frame cleaned up. It's good to go. I don't know if you can tell, but it's all descaled and solid all the way through the front until the very back part of the front frame. So see on these Chevys, there's a front portion of the frame and then like a mid and rear section of the frame, and it starts right around where the door, the door starts. Basically, it's right there. And some of the frame on the inside is rusted away a bit. You could see when I was hitting it with my descaler here. Where's my descaler? Oh, there it is. My little jackhammer, my little needle hammer. When I was hitting it with that, I just got a ton of rust flakes out of it, like really big chunks like this too. Look at that shit, man. Big giant mess out of that side. And so I got to pound it on the actual side, and this is kind of what's left of what needed to come out. You could see like right there is where all the needle descaler kind of like just poked through it. So I cut it back a little bit. This is still pretty thin here on this part right here, but I've actually cut it back a little bit more. I have a replacement plate for right here. This is an 1/8" plate that I'm going to stick up in there. But I did cut out some of the frame that I'm going to be repairing. And it's a lot bigger than that little piece, right? Because I cut back until I hit like some good stuff, you know. So I'm going to just fit that piece into this little slot here. I think I'm going to cut a little bit more off of the top here, maybe make this top straight here. But it's only just the inside part of this one frame, of the front part of the frame where it welds, or where it gets attached to the back frame. This is the front frame, and then this is the back frame. And so the front frame is the only difference between them two, between the two of them, is the back frame is a C-channel. You can see it's like boop, boop, boop. There's no closing on this side of it, right? But the front part of the frame is all closed. It's all completely boxed in. There you can see some of the loveliness that is the bottom of my frame. It all looks pretty good, all descaled. There's pitting in some areas, but I don't think it actually came out too bad. It looks pretty good. That side of the frame is fine. You can kind of see what it should look like on that side. It's just a big, kind of like a C-shaped opening that welds from the front of the frame to the back of from the front frame to the back frame. So anyway, that's my next little hiccup in the project right here. I have a little frame restoration going on. It's amazing what you can do with a needle descaler, a little brake clean, paper towels, and a rattle can. Oh man, it's starting to look a lot like a frame again. Just kind of exciting to see it on its way back together. I fixed the frame back there. I don't know if you can see it or whatever, but I fixed that portion of the frame there. It's all welded in, and I'm just cleaning up the frame. I have one I have one thing that I want to do up here. Maybe I was thinking my solution to these freaking disaster of motor mounts that Chevy gives us is I'm going to weld the nuts on the bottom side of this thing so that I can just put the motor mount, drop it down on there and screw it from the top with the bolts. And then that should actually let me slide the motor straight back in, slide it straight back in without having to, go up and then onto the motor mounts, because that's just always seemed retarded to me. But just slide it straight on back to the transmission there, lock it up, get them bolted down to the frame, and I think that's my solution. So I just got to weld some nuts underneath these motor mount brackets, and that's, I think, the last bit of welding I'm going to do on this frame for now. So, but I wanted to just say, it's so exciting just to see some color on the frame. I'm going to put some undercoating, some rubberized undercoating on this frame to protect it a little bit more, at least the bottom side. I'm not exactly convinced if I should put it all around, but maybe at least on the bottom side should help keep the rock scratches and nicks and all that stuff. Maybe the bottom and the sides or something like that. I'll rubberize the rubberized coating on it. I'm not sure yet. I'll figure it out, but it's looking pretty good. So you might be asking yourself, Jimbo, where the hell do you keep all the hardware for all this stuff? I mean, you got all this splayed out on a ping pong table and the floor and everything else in there. Just about had a panic attack trying to find my the bolts for these motor mounts that I want to weld the nuts into the frame for, but basically I do have them organized. I just had them all over the place. I had some on this little table, I had some on that little bit bigger table, you know. Some of it's attached to the parts that are on here, you know, like bolts for the ball joints and like, you know, bolts for the drive shaft, for the, you know, for the front differential. It's just stuff that is bolted on there, but I keep them in baggies. It's the only way to go, because, you know, there's so many different parts. There's a freaking ton of parts all over the place, right? But there's so many parts that I have to keep them labeled. Here we got is what's this? This is lower control arms. We got front brake lines, steering gear, and shaft. Calipers, front clip. The long ones are for the fender, the short ones are for the wheel well. It's just, you know, it doesn't matter how you label them. I got a ton of bags in here. There's here's some lights and shit. I mean, I have so many bags in here. Battery tray, idler arm. I should say idler. Well, it's idler arm. There's the grill, bell housing. I mean, I got so many bags in here, but it's basically like this is all the hardware to attach all that other crap. And, you know, I have some more bags over here for the old motor that that we pulled out of it, because we are keeping some of the stuff like timing chain and these are head bolts, head, flex plate. So, you know, I keep those segregated from the stuff that's going in on the actual truck. But this is everything I need to bolt everything that I took out of it back in. I was looking for motor mounts. I found them. Right there. There it is, motor mounts. You can't go wrong with little Ziploc bags and a Sharpie. That's all you need to organize a giant project like this. Got the well-deserved shout out to the transmission jack. These holes would be, I just think, either extremely difficult or impossible to do by yourself without it. This thing is just so heavy, and it fits into these bushing slots where it mounts onto the frame. It just fits on there so tight. It would take at least 2 people. But the transmission jack is coming through. Bart came over. He's just chilling out, wrenching on the truck, and we have made some surprising good progress. Look at all this juicy goodness in here. Lower control arms are in, steering knuckles, upper control arms, got the sway bar all mounted in there, brand new sway bar links on there. Oh my god, that's beautiful. It's golden. Got the front diff all in, other side's in, everything's tight. Just put my danger red keys in the freaking torsion bars back here. It does. Danger red. They're all tightened down to spec, I'll say. My spec. The spec that they were before. And yeah, man, shit is going together. I want to put some steering in this thing, maybe be able to put the tires on it by the end of the day. That'll be the goal, right, Bart?
Yes.
Before I button this up and put some tires on it to move it around a little bit, I'm just gonna give you a shot of what I did today. I reinstalled all of the control arm, suspension, basically all of the suspension stuff and all of the steering stuff, as well as the front differential. It all went in today. It all looks really good. Here's I even got the brakes on there, my new calipers, new caliper brake lines, my Skyjacker Hydro 7000s. Sweet looking. They went in there okay. My steering gearbox is in there. All the steering tie rods and everything are all replaced. They're in there nice and tight, buttoned up. Look at those sexy sway bar end links, man. Golden. They're golden. They'll probably rust real quick, but whatever. Yeah, both sides are done. It's ready to put tires on it and move. And I'm just really happy with it. I'm really, really happy. Bart came over today. He was hanging out, chilling, wrenching on this thing a little bit. Helped me figure some stuff out. It's well on its way, and I'm really happy.